you joining us for episode 13 of A Measure of Marketing, all about marketing strategy on a budget.
Nice.
It is a nice episode.
A regular thing, I feel, between us, marketing strategy.
I think we're both advocates of a kind of strategy first approach, and I think it's how we typically are introduced to our clients that they need that help from the off of where to start and how to kind of think more structured and strategically. This episode is kind of for people that are on a bit of a shoestring, that don't necessarily have the resources or the budget to work with consultants like ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, I think business owners of a smaller level, particularly like solo entrepreneurs like us, I find it refreshing when they ask for that support, because I think make yourself small and like mentally as well, and think that you don't need one. Like a strategy feels like quite big. If people have gone into business and they've not worked on strategy before in corporate roles, or it can feel like I don't need it. But I think that's my favorite, when you work with solo entrepreneurs and they're doing strategy and they're like really driven. And I love that.
I agree. I love that too, because what I've found when I did it for me, and what I've found working with individuals, is that it's so much a journey. It's actually can get quite emotional and reflective, because it's the journey that they're on as a self-employed bod or a freelancer, or kind of one person business. It's you uncover a hell of a lot from the conversations that you have and the process that you go through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why working with somebody else to do that is such a development area. And I've tried to do it myself for my own, and it does not feel the same.
It's hard because you can't challenge yourself the same way that you would challenge somebody else, or pose certain questions that are a little bit out here that make them really think and stand up and go, oh, why have you asked me that? And you know where you want to get to, but trying to do that to yourself it's not as easy. It doesn't come as easy to me as it probably didn't come as easy to you when you went through the process.
Yeah, definitely. So we have some headers that we're going to go through. Headers, title, like sections, marketing strategy sections.
Yeah.
So we'll chat over them one by one. And I guess this is things to think about as a business owner if you feel that you need a marketing strategy refresh, or one support creating one from afresh. Things that you can do up front in support of that. Things to think about, things to reflect on. And then there's the bits that we will specifically do because of our speciality.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can't cram in the whole process of creating a marketing strategy inside 15-20 minutes. So I think it's really to be helpful for people to chat through. I think there's roughly half a dozen kind of things we could chat through that would help people to be able to give them a bit of direction and a steer to do it themselves if they just wanted to start thinking about the process.
Yeah. So where should we start?
Well, the place I would always start is audience. Yes. So we've got an episode coming up, haven't we? All about how to define your target audience. But
Jan, won't it? January.
Yeah, next year, January, gosh. I think for me, if you don't know who you're talking to, if you don't know who it is that you're trying to communicate with or who you're trying to help, I think you're kind of setting yourself up for a fail, which sounds really harsh, but I think there's different audiences you need to be aware of when you start doing your own marketing, and there will be a kind of what I would refer to as a market, so your primary market, who you're wanting to work with, and that will range from industry to organization type. to level of support or need or the challenge that they have. And then you might even have a secondary or a tertiary market where your focus isn't as much, isn't as heavily kind of focused. And then from that, you will have a target audience. The 2, 3, 4, they're very, very different to your target audience, because the target audience is the person that has got the budget, the person that you want to talk to, that you need to get in front of, is almost representing the stakeholders within your primary and kind of secondary market. So
yeah,
I think actually trying to define those different types of audiences is quite hard. And that's where I know our speciality is in working with people. But to give people a start, really consider who it is you're trying to help, what their challenges are, and how you can help overcome them, that kind of their market needs as such.
yeah,
But then think, okay, well, how do I get to those organizations? How do I get through to those industries? Where are they? And who is it that's got the purse strings? Because they're the people that you need to be talking to. I think people don't realize that when they start marketing. I think they get it a bit confused.
yeah, because ultimately then you're able to tailor your messaging to them.
Yep.
Yeah, really delving into pain points and things like that, and to find those audiences, or yeah, to use basic tools really, like look at people on LinkedIn and like job roles, and think about them as a person as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we can think of yeah, just like what's the necessary thing you need to know. I think sometimes you can hear about customer personas, and we'll go into this obviously in the other episode, but there are some things that you just don't need to know, like where people shop sometimes, or like their income level. Like it might not always be necessary. Like what are the most important things that you need to know about your audience, where you can shape your messaging down the line and talk to them quite
Yeah,
specifically.
totally. And it will differ, I think, between business to business and business to consumer. So if you've got a product for your average Joe that you want to get out onto the shelves in the shops, that's going to be totally different than if you're trying to sell into a business and you need to find a specific department and person within that department to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, audience first. Like even if just to start to brainstorm it, even if you've met someone at a networking event and you were like, they are the person, like you just had a good conversation, like reverse engineer it. Like if you feel you've met that person, literally brainstorm and write down what they do, why they might need you, what the conversation was. Hopefully
Yeah.
you can dig a little bit further, or ask to speak to them again, and like say that you're doing some customer research for your own business and you've got a few more questions. Like don't be afraid to go back to somebody that you've met, and just do that. Use it as a customer insight. It's not being nosy. That's a strategic action to take. I would say I'd encourage people to do that.
Yeah. And you may think that you really do know who your target audience is, but actually exactly what you've just recommended, you could do on an annual basis. You could even do it every couple of years, just to make sure that you are still talking to the right person, because it can change. It may not be how it was before. If you're that agile, you're going to need to change it up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Audience. Second one would be, what's on your list?
For me, it's your proposition. So this is really important to tie in with the audience. You kind of know exactly who you're trying to help, but do you know what you're offering, why you're offering it, and how you want to make a change with it? So this proposition sort of encompasses vision and mission, purpose, your customer facing proposition, and these will all be slightly different. So the vision is the bigger change you want to see within the world, your mission is what you're striving for, and then your purpose is that kind of really refined reason behind what you're doing. And I think this is the reflective bit, the journey that people need to go on, that we've gone on ourselves, scarily so. And it's quite scary to really dig deep and figure it out. But you know, it's only from doing this that you probably really then tap into your unique selling point and why it is that you're doing what you do. And people kind of want to know that as well. They kind of want to understand why you're different to your competitors and what makes you so special. That's one question I always ask clients. Well, what makes you special? And they're like, well, why are you asking that? And it's like, well, that's what someone's going to be thinking. Why you over someone else? So,
and I tend to start with this bit when I do a strategy is I think this is probably the most important part and the bit that is the hardest, as you say. And to have that conversation with someone else, it's almost a little bit like a coaching session to some degree. And my role, your role, I would be asking specific questions or really hearing and trying to pull out these points if the person in front of me can't do that themselves and can't tell me. And that's the bit I think you definitely will miss when you're trying to do this by yourself. And for me, I start here because having a business of any type is such it is a personal thing. You've started it for a reason. And you can probably be soaked up into a completely different direction quite quickly if you have built a team around you as well. You don't come back to the reason why you was doing it and what that purpose was and what your mission was and that vision that you had on the very first day of starting your business. So yeah, I think that's quite important to begin with. But I always say that just having a business is just, it's self-development all the time. There's loads of stuff that is happening that you have to overcome. And I think if you really start here, and business owners have literally got it pinned in front of them every day, those challenges are like, okay, I'm going to keep going because this is what I want to do. Like, do you really want to do it? And you will go through the challenges and overcome them once you understand what your mission is and what your purpose is.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really interesting that you start with this place as well. And I do to a certain extent because I get my client to start thinking about this while I'm thinking about target audience, because I think the two work so hand in hand. The two are so integrated with how do you know who you're helping if you don't know what your mission is? And how do you know what your mission is if you don't know that there's a problem that needs solving? So,
yeah, that's a good point. And then competitors, would you say?
Yeah, there's like a research element, I think, that people look at it and can think, oh, this isn't really that important. And other people might challenge that and go, actually, no, this is really, really important, blah, blah. So competitors, when you're first starting out, you probably won't know who your competitors are. So actually to have a Google, to do some research yourself isn't a bad thing because it kind of allows you to benchmark yourself against what other people are doing. I went through this process and I encourage my clients to do it. Even if you were to come up with half a dozen, it's not a huge market research piece. And I think there's a place for that. But even if you come up with a few that you know you can compare yourself to directly, it's worth just comparing and considering, okay, well, what do I do better? What do I like about their marketing? What do I prefer about what I want to do? And that sort of that competitive part for me then links into a marketing SWOT analysis. So looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And for me, doing that exercise, and if you're a solopreneur, you can equally do it for yourself as a person with your own expertise, that SWOT analysis really allows you to position yourself with your marketing well enough with your competitors to know what you need to work on, what's working well, what you need to watch out for, and then what you can do about that and turn it into an opportunity. So you don't necessarily need it if you're just starting out, but actually I think it's really valuable if you could find the time to do it.
Yeah. And I think with the competitor side, I think sometimes we would go into it thinking, oh, like they do this so well. It's not a competition. Like, don't go in thinking that. Think of it as like, where can you grab inspiration from? Or, oh, I definitely know I don't want to be like that. You know, when you meet someone and they've got bad behaviors and you're like, I don't want to be like
Don't be that guy.
that. Which is great, because then it just puts you back into a neutral position, and then you'll find something you do like, and then you'll recognize that someone else is actually, they've got a big team, or you think they've got a big team and they've not got a big team. Like, just have a little like delve around in terms of, yeah, their brand, like sign up to some newsletters and
Yeah.
see what comes
Yeah.
through it. And yeah, but it's not a competition. It's
No.
what do you want out of your business, and just grabbing inspiration or no thank yous.
Exactly. And I think as you go on in your self-employed journey, you find that your competitors actually can come across as friends, which seems really daft to say.
I mean,
but I mean, hello. But it's like, you know, you can exchange opportunities, inquiries. You can also learn from them as well. And I think sometimes I used to see like my MDs and CEOs going and meeting with other MDs and CEOs of competitor organizations. Like, why are you doing that? Why? And actually, there's a genuine good reason for doing it. So yeah, the word competitor, I would just take it so loosely and use it.
what other word can we use? Let's not decide now, but there must be another word.
Relative, mutual, something like that. I don't know. Or think of something, put it in the LinkedIn post.
Your creative
buzzword. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, it depends on the industry, doesn't it? But there's definitely, for us, like, I've got other people that pass work to me, I pass work to them. Like, we do it, like, yeah. It's great just to meet people within your area as well that you can ask questions of, and I think
learn.
it just opens your mind up in a different way if you approach it. You're taking the path of least resistance in my head, and making friends along the way with that. And then I've got a list in front of me, which is why I keep looking down. What next? What next?
Next. Okay, so the next one for me is what do you want to achieve? So it's business aims, business objectives, and don't think about marketing, actually, just think about what you want to achieve within the next year. I think if you're a small business, trying to aim more than 12 to 18 months in advance can be really hard work. So what do you want to achieve? More often than not, it will be raise my brand awareness, raise my profile, growth, generate new business. And it might be a little bit more targeted, i.e. generate new business from this particular market, or establish myself as this sort of client organization. Or it's only from there, once you have got your head around what you want to achieve, that marketing can say, okay, my objective is to do this. And if it's to raise brand awareness, okay, well, how's marketing going to help you get there? What objectives are you going to set? What targets are you going to set from that objective? So I think this is the real top level thinking that you kind of have to do. And I think setting the business objectives will probably be quite easy because you know what you want to achieve, but how your marketing then interprets them is something where you or I or a marketing team would be able to really help and build. And I think the rest of the marketing strategy from there, but gives you an idea of how you should work it top down.
I like how you talked about raising brand awareness, because I don't often hear that. I often hear financial instead. So I would recommend, definitely having a financial, because that's what we're all kind of here for.
Yep.
Way, but go back to that, why am I doing what I'm doing? And if it is to genuinely help people, like, how many people do you want to help in the course of a year to 3 years? Because we will help you to reverse engineer that through the marketing actions that we take, and the plan.
Exactly that. And if you want to get the finance side in there, then create a target. So if you know that you want to have generated X amount of revenue from X amount of clients, well, how many inquiries do you need to transform into opportunities to close to be able to get you those clients? And then you work back from there. So, okay, so if you need that amount of inquiries, well, how's marketing going to get them for you? And how then can sales take them forward? So yeah, that's where you would whack in the finance side.
Yeah, definitely. And then, the rest on the list feel like maybe our job.
For me, yeah, totally. And this is where if you do need to spend any money or you do need some help, this would be where you would spend the money. So you would need to know what marketing strategies are going to help you achieve your objectives. And this is your campaign-based comms, from social media marketing, content marketing, to client advocacy, to PR. And that's what we do. And this is where I think this episode might fall down a little bit in helping other people, is that's where you need the specialist advice to be able to get you there.
Yeah. And then of that, and then there's some other bits in here as well. Obviously then marketing objectives comes into that, and the targets that we'll put around it, like we've already mentioned. And then the marketing budget to help to, and that's either that getting the help, or if there's an element of like paid advertising in there, PR, etc., there's that additional budget, isn't there, even above the strategy piece as well. But that's where we come in and we help to map it all out and can help you to put that budget plan together at the same time.
It depends how much you've got to play with, because it also depends on your organization. Like you say, if you needed money for PR, well, then what's more important, that or paying for your email service provider to be able to do email marketing? So it's kind of weighing that up, seeing what revs you've got revenue coming in, and what you can pull off it, and then how you're going to measure it all to ensure you get a good return on that budget, on that investment. So that the last bit is probably the more marketing focused bit, but
we'll help you to phase it out, because it's no point in doing everything all at once sometimes, because it's just too overwhelming, and it depends what your team and your business setup looks like. And also for me, they like going in more into the detail, you mentioned about marketing and then sales. I've definitely been in roles before where we've absolutely smashed it from a marketing team perspective, but the next team down the line couldn't manage the inquiries, and that's probably a blessing and a bit of a joy. If we're working with smaller business owners now, you've got control of that to be like, okay, if this really works well, you're gonna hit like a blocker here, can you actually funnel all these inquiries through? I think about my business and I'm like, oh, I want to do this and this. If I can't say yes. Do you know when you get those messages through on LinkedIn and they're like, we can help you generate 30 leads a day, and I'm like, I can't manage that. How do I do that? Why are you messaging me? It's that kind of thing. Like, if it's gonna work, you need a backup plan actually through, or you scale it back. It's that kind of stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you say, if you didn't have budget to work with someone like us, absolutely fine. You can get through it. With everything else that you've done before, at least you have that framework and you have that strategic approach to what you do and why. And I think that's really important. Even if you did it badly, at least you know exactly why you're doing marketing that you're doing. So yeah, you're going to put any feet first, do it, with a strategic step.
Yeah. And the bit that I spoke about before we started recording was around the market summary as well, which we help with. But as a business owner, and I had to do this, I put a business plan together because I applied for a small grant to build my website. And it was actually it was a task where I was like, gah, really, do I have to do this? But it was actually probably one of the best things I've
How'd
done
it go?
all of my time being self-employed, because they were like, they asked questions around what does the market look like who are your competitors, but then like what do, like, go and do a bit of research about like freelancing as a marketing person, like what do the stats look like? And I actually was like, okay, like I went and did it, and then now I've got this piece of research where if I'm working with a copywriter to change my website up a little bit now, and I kind of provided that to him, and that is a really useful bit to do. Generally, as a business owner, you will know more, you know it inside, but just actually get it down, put a deck together, and just explore that a little bit more as you're doing like your thinking around why you're doing what you're doing. Just down in some way, I recommend as well.
And it doesn't have to be a 20-page document or a 50-slide deck. And I've had that before where some clients have said, but I don't want reams of paper in my strategy. And it's like, if you want, you could have a 1-page strategy. You don't have to go to town on it, but it's having that, it's carving that time out and just recognizing and acknowledging the why behind it all, so that everything then spawns from it. And you'll find I know you'll have found this when you do brand strategies or when you work on business plans with clients, there's so much overlap because everything has to integrate and synchronize for it all to come together. It really is the foundation of it all.
It is, yeah. I feel that was really helpful.
I hope so. It's hard to cram everything into the one episode, but it gives people a starting point anyway to get going on it.
Yeah, I think if I listened to this episode like 18 months ago, I'd have been like, build my own strategy. Remember that time when we first met and I was like, what does strategy mean? Like, it got in my head and I was just so confused by it. I don't know why.
No, I don't know why. I think
I don't like the word.
It
feels very like
strategy.
Grey suit and tie.
Yeah. It's no one. I don't think anyone likes to hear the word because it does. It's all a bit, but it's what very
adult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit, but it's just so important, and you just maybe they need to change the word. I don't know. That's another one we need to reflect on. Another buzzword to change.
Competitor and strategy. We're gonna change them.
Yeah, we're gonna change. That's our aim for next year. Okay.
2025 vision. Fab.
Cool.
Do that. Our next episode is with a guest. I'm excited. It's on PR. But we'll share the guest later on down the line.
Yeah,
it'd be good. Diary to record. Yeah, I'm waiting to be converted on PR. Not as in I think it's a good it's a good tool, marketing tool. Definitely recommend it. I worked in PR for a little while back in the day, and I just did not like it. I just couldn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on.
Hang on, is this the opener for the next episode?
No, this is for me. Like, I'm waiting to learn more about it because I didn't really get trained very well in the role, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just out on my own. Writing press releases. Like, what am I doing? Yeah, just didn't.
I don't think you can dabble with PR. You're either in it or you're not, and you can't muck about with it. And I think there's a difference between news and writing news pieces, and then there's PR. And I can never hold my hand up and go, oh yeah, I'm in PR. I understand PR, and I write news pieces, I write press releases, but the area of PR is something
specialized.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, until then.
Nice to speak to you.
And you. Take care. Goodbye.
See you in December.
Oh, stop. Happy Christmas. Bye-bye.
Stop it.
Bye.